Gwen. Thank all of you for taking time out of your day to come and sit in this crowd. I haven't talked to a large, full room in many years. And just to let you know, I've only noticed one person snoozing, so that's a pretty good sign. It is pretty early. But I saw you, just so you know. So it's my job, and what I'm focused on doing here, obviously, is to convince you to take some of your hard-earned investment dollars and allocate it to ValOre Metals Corp. And we take this task seriously. We have invested in this company, in this project, and we want to convince you to invest alongside of us. And today I'm just going to talk about the Pedra Branca Platinum Group Metals, or PGM project in Brazil. So, as investors, I think it's important that you know that this is available on our website. We have booklets printed off. You can read this. I think an informed investor, one that knows about the risks, is actually a better investor, a stronger investor, and a more patient investor. So I encourage you to read these because I absolutely will be making forward-looking statements today. I'll be talking about the past, the present, and the future, and it's good to know what we're up against as co-investors in this deal. So against the backdrop of the palladium markets that Gwen so nicely set this up with, a raging PGM market in terms of pricing, the opportunity here is that ValOre shareholders have ownership and control over an entire district, a PGM district in Brazil. And that's the opportunity. The timing's right and the project's great. So we made this presentation as investors ourselves for the investors. So this is kind of how we think. We have a TSX listed company with high insider ownership. We have a successful and experienced team. What we like about this project as well is there has been substantial prior investment, and that is in the form of access, logistics, regional infrastructure, and what we really like as well is there's over $35 million of exploration expenditures that have generated some very high quality data by previous operators, and now we have access to that. We like it because it's got district scale potential, and what I mean by that is if we do our job and if we succeed, will a major mining company or a mid-tier mining company think it's worth their while to come in? A lot of investors have made money with companies in our groups because we were able to deliver a takeout. It's something we like to do. So it has to matter if we succeed. What we're also seeing here is this database that we got was sort of fragmented. And so we're employing new techniques and technologies in the right minds to add significant upside for our shareholders in terms of just looking at this data and this project in a new way and an up-to-date way. The last point I'll make is that what we really like is the discovery pipeline on the Pedra Branca project is full. It's crammed full, and we can't wait to get out there and start our exploration in 2020. So there's a lot on this page, and I won't ask you to read it all, but if you look on the right-hand side, what I think is really important, or before that, look on the left-hand side where it says May 28, 2019. So when ValOre announced the acquisition of the Pedra Branca PGM project, that was in May 28. If you look to the right, since then, gold price is up over 20%, platinum is up over 27%, palladium's up over 65%, and we're up about 32, 33%. Right in the center there is a little tab where you can look at the numbers that we use to put out our 43-101 resource estimate. So when you do your estimation, you have to use commodity prices. So I think though, even though the commodity prices themselves have raged since we bought this project, we were quite conservative. We used $1,000 palladium. It's over, I think it was $2,300 when I looked today. Platinum was $860, it crested $1,000, and gold $1,250 in the resource estimate, and I think it's over $1,500 now. So we were conservative. There was still lots of upside. We're not sort of inflated, and we were conservative when we put that together. So why is palladium rocking? Well, this is probably more than a 10-minute conversation, but if you look on the left-hand side, where those little dangly blue icicles, where they top, that along that line is supposed to be that the market is in balance. So any blue line below that horizontal line would mean the market is in deficit, and the palladium market is in deficit. The price has gone up something like 65% since the beginning of last year, and that's because there isn't enough for the industrial use. Platinum, if you look at that, that market in the last few years has actually been in surplus, but I think what's happening is investment demand is actually driving the price up. The price is going up even though it's in excess. It's because there's demand for investment demand for platinum. And one of the reasons why I think is a big reason, if you look at the pie chart on the right-hand side, that's a chart that represents where global production of palladium comes from by country. So we've got 39% of the world's palladium production coming from South Africa, 40% from Russia, and about 5% from Zimbabwe. So about 84% of the world's production comes from Zimbabwe, Russia, and South Africa. In my opinion, those countries carry significant jurisdictional risk. And I think we've already seen it now in the space. I'll back up. What we've seen in the space where some of these South African producers have recognized the issues they're facing and are starting to make acquisitions in North America, in Canada, and the United States. So industry consolidation is happening. The big producers are cashed up because they're making money based on the pricing, and they're looking to get out. And there aren't a lot of junior mining companies or mid-tier developers with assets for them to buy. So it's a good time for that. Here's a stock chart. Insiders own about 20%. I see I'm about 3 minutes left, so we can answer all those questions out at our booth around the corner. But strong insider ownership, well-structured, very strong supportive shareholder base. And then let's talk about the team really quickly here. It's critical when you put your money into a company, you want to know the team has had success, they've had failure and learned how to deal with that failure. And we have a team that's very experienced in mineral exploration, managing large-scale exploration programs, trading physical commodities. In Brazil, we have a director that just joined us that is a lawyer and a geologist. He's got great connections, which I'll talk to you about. And then in terms of capital market success, on the right-hand side, ValOre Metals is part of Discovery Group, which is an alliance of public companies. And so we work together. There's a few companies here today that are part of Discovery Group, but Discovery Group companies have had a lot of success in the last little while. Northern Empire was sold to Corp for a little over 117 million. Kaminak was sold to Gold Corp for 520. And then outside of the Discovery Group, two of our directors, Jim Malone and Dale Walster, were part of Hathor, which was sold to Rio Tinto for over $600 million. So we've got a great team. On the Brazilian side, Luis Azevedo, who's a director of our company, has made great inroads for us at a federal and a state level. He introduced us to the port owners, and they're really interested in doing business. And on the bottom right-hand side here, you can see a picture and see if you can spot the three Canadians. And I'm going to ask you a skilled testing question right at the end. So look carefully at that picture when you're looking at the three Canadians. Access. Fortaleza has over 3 million people. I hadn't even heard of the city about a year ago. There's an international airport. There's a port in the bottom right-hand corner. Those are the guys we met with for dinner. They're really interested in doing business. There are two federal highways that lead from Fortaleza right to the property. You drive by dry, rolling country. It's not the rainforest. And on the right-hand side, there is Capital Moro, where we have set up our operations. So in terms of investment, it's significant. Over $35 million has been spent by previous operators. So we have access to over 380 drill holes, property-wide geophysics, and over 20,000 data points in terms of geochem. It was a fragmented database when we got it, but we pulled it all together, and we're going to make some discoveries based on it. Property, about 50 kilometers, if you look on the right-hand side, that arrow is 50 kilometers from tip to top, 38,000 hectares, lots of great targets all the way across the property. A 43-101 resource in aggregate, it's just over 1 million ounces in 5 different zones. If you look on the left, these are cross sections. So if you look at the green line that runs horizontally and those pink and blue smatterings, that shows mineralization and drill core. Look how close to the surface they are. This is near surface, shallow, and high-grade mineralization. This thing that looks like a beach turtle is actually, we've reprocessed the magnetic data. It looks way better when you spin it around. But basically what we're showing here is that at surface, they've drilled mineralization. But these magnetic bodies extend at depth, and there's lots of upside at depth. High grade from the top to the bottom of the property. That block in the middle there just shows you of the 200 samples that are over 5 grams per ton. These are rock samples. 97 are over 10 grams per ton, and 9 are over 20. So this is sort of the second to last technical slide. On the right-hand side, you see high-grade mineralization within 60 meters of surface. So the surface is the green line down to 60 meters. And if you run your eye from right to left, you see there's a lot of high-grade mineralization right near surface. And that's why I really like it, because in future development, if you don't have to move a rock that you don't get paid for, it's much more profitable. Final technical slide. So we have a proven targeting methodology. So we've gone through the data, we've fingerprinted the deposits based on the geology, the drilling, the mag, and we got our geophysical expert to find a target that had been drilled, the Kuryu deposit, 37 holes, 100,000 ounces, and find others just like it. We came up with the C4 target. Independently, another expert looked at that target, and from geological perspective, she fingerprinted it. This woman, her name's Sandra Perry, she uses the highest resolution commercially available satellite technology available. Barbed wire from space, vegetation from space, and you can identify rock type from space. She came up with the same target. The guys were on the property, so they got the news from Sandra. They visited the site the next day, put some samples in the bag. The rocks were in the lab within 5 days. When we put our news release out, we made a new discovery based on desktop work and knowledge. So we're just outside there. You can see Dustin Zinger or Alex Heath. Maybe raise your hands, guys. And my name is Jim Paterson. We'd be happy to come talk to you, and thank you very much for your attention.